Change is not always a choice. Sometimes it's the only way to survive. Hello and welcome, I'm Sadhika Tiwari and you're watching Eco India. We are living in a world where everything around us is rapidly changing. We're experiencing extreme temperatures, extreme weather, and unforeseen climatic changes. And in this shifting world, survival means more than just holding on. It is about rethinking the way we live, what we consume, and the everyday choices that we make. Let's start with Uttar Pradesh's fragrance district of Kannauj. For centuries, the air in Kannauj has carried the scent of roses, jasmine, and even rare natural fragrances like raindrops on parched land. How can this fragrance even be bottled? For centuries, this traditional perfume industry has created magic that has been loved globally and generated millions of livelihoods. But here as well, things are changing now and posing a question. Can tradition make way for sustainability?
Perfumes, wonderfully fragrant, made from roses or jasmine. The city of Kannauj in Uttar Pradesh has been India's fragrance capital for some 2,000 years. Now climate change is threatening to destroy the industry and tens of thousands of jobs.
Heavy rains and strong winds last night weakened the roots, making the plants more vulnerable to pests.
Farmers are having to adapt their methods and scientists are testing new fragrances.
Because of this climate change, there will be a change in odor profile, change in floral profile. Accordingly, we need to readjust and remarket the product.
Can Kannauj reinvent itself as India's perfume capital? At 6:30 a.m., farmers are out rushing to pick flowers. In the next 2 hours, they need to gather the entire harvest of damask rose while it's still in full bloom. Muhammad Islam, a third-generation rose farmer, is facing drastically reduced yields. The harvest, once 10 kilos, is now sometimes half that. For 3 years, unseasonable rainfall and heat waves have disrupted harvesting cycles.
The weather fluctuations mean the flowers don't bloom properly. They are smaller and that affects their weight.
Kannauj is famous for its hand-produced attar, a natural fragrant oil obtained from distillation. To this day, the town lives from this centuries-old craft. Nearly 80% of the 150,000 inhabitants work in the perfume industry, including Praveen and Rachna Tandon. The couple has built up their own perfume brand based on the natural scents of Kannauj. Now they too are feeling the effects of climate change. Their suppliers need to process more flowers because the blossoms contain less oil, and they're passing on the increased costs in their prices.
So if we are buying more raw materials at a higher cost, we end up having to sell our products at a higher price. But then there's the question of affordability for our customers. Unfortunately, concerns about the price are forcing many people to consider synthetic alternatives.
So the Tandons are now diversifying their business to include products that require less natural oil. And yet, since time immemorial, Kannauj has had ideal conditions for growing flowers. Cradled within the Indo-Gangetic plains, the region was traditionally blessed with predictable weather.
The perfume industry thrives on Kannauj's fertile soil. It's ideal for growing the fragrant flowers used in perfumery.
But the sudden rises in temperature are also making the plants more susceptible to pests, and their buds wither before they can flower properly.
When growth slows, we spend more on irrigation and fertilizers, but yields stay low, and we end up with losses.
Amar Singh says one solution could lie in the right timing. He works for a state agricultural advisory center and says the planting and irrigation cycle needs to be brought forward by up to 20 days so that the plants are watered before the heat can damage the flowers. Irrigation during flowering is also important.
जब बेला गुलाब में फूल आ रहा है या कली बन रही है,
When the farmer sees that the buds are starting to come, if the temperature is also rising at the same time, it's important to irrigate the plants right away. Otherwise, the blooming process won't happen properly.
Meanwhile, Kannauj's Fragrance and Flavor Development Center is looking for other solutions. Initial test results are sobering. Higher temperatures change the fragrance of the flowers. Perfumes made from roses and jasmine then lose their typical aroma. One option could be flowers that thrive outside hot summer months.
So we suggest farmer because you cannot change the environment. So what could be done? So we suggest do basil, do chamomile. So if they do that and make more dedication over there, and even the basil is after COVID period, the basil is going up like anything. The basil oil, which was earlier sold for 800 rupees a liter, right now is beyond 2,500 rupees a liter.
Kannauj's perfumes account for nearly 30% of India's fragrance market, valued at over $500 million. To sustain the industry, 8th generation perfumer Pranav Kapoor is looking to a new solution: tourism.
Commercializing something in the form of tourism, it opens up channels of revenue for the local population, right? Your farmers are seeing a boost of people that are coming there. Your retailers, the people who have shops, are now seeing international tourists walk down and buy scents from them.
Perhaps tourism can become an economic mainstay for the area. One thing is certain: Kannauj's perfume industry needs to come up with a new formula combining many ingredients. One that not only preserves the past, but also offers a blossoming future.
Traditions can be hard to let go. Tensions have now been brewing in a remote village in Nagaland between change and tradition. What does it take to convince a community to let go of the practices that they have been following for generations to help the very same forest that they have lived so closely with? This is a story of deep-rooted culture, of tough choices and quiet hope unfolding in one of the most beautiful parts of the country.
In a remote pocket of Nagaland, in the far east of India, lies the secluded village of Kannauj. The nearest town is 8 hours away. The village is home to Konyak Nagas, a tribe of proud traditional hunters. Our tradition of hunting has been passed down by our forefathers. Even to this day, you will find at least 2 or 3 guns in every household. I was also a keen hunter. I didn't hunt many mammals, but I did hunt a lot of birds. 40-year-old Vanmai Konyak learned how to hunt from his father. While Indian laws prohibit hunting elsewhere, Nagaland is governed by its tribal customs. But over the course of centuries, this tradition took a toll on the region's wildlife. The forests of Kannauj grew quieter. Many of the animals, birds and mammals we used to see here were slowly disappearing. Some had even gone completely from our forests. Like others in his village, Vanmai hadn't given much thought to the declining wildlife population. This changed in 2015 when he visited a Himalayan forest where the local tribal community was actively protecting biodiversity. Their dedication and passion for preserving nature truly motivated and inspired me. Beyond all that, when I saw the forests and the abundance of wildlife, I thought to myself, how wonderful it would be if we could have such wildlife, forests, birds and animals in our village. Vanmai returned to form a biodiversity management committee in his village. They decided to restore 3 small patches of forests where migratory birds, including the great hornbill, once used to visit. Hunting would be banned in these forests.
idea
We presented our idea of wildlife conservation and its importance during our village council meetings. It was the first time they had heard about this. The concept of wildlife conservation in our community was entirely new to them. But all around these forest patches were jhum cultivations, a traditional slash and burn practice in agriculture. Each year, one section of the forest is completely burned and crops are planted. The next year, another patch is cleared. It takes 8 years for the rotation to complete. The science around jhum is debated. It is often blamed for widespread deforestation in Nagaland. Between 2003 and 2023, the state lost more than 1,200 square kilometers of forest. That's nearly the size of Delhi. In just 20 years. But research also shows that it ensures food security and preserves soil health. It reduces the need for permanent monocropping like palm oil plantations in these areas. For the time being, we have only declared our area a community protected space. We have only included the surrounding fields. That means the villagers and their jhum cultivation practice have not been affected. The restoration site spans nearly 4 hectares with over 3,000 new saplings. It has become a classroom where the next generation of Kannaujiks are taught to see nature from a new perspective beyond hunting and jhum. In the past, we didn't know what conservation was or how to preserve or protect the wildlife. Now, through this restoration site, we are trying our best to carry forward a legacy of protecting the environment. 21-year-old Angba was one of the site's first volunteers. Now he is a nature educator here and brings his students and youth groups to the site. I tell the children that in that big tree, there are not just insects like ants, but birds, nests, and different species that live there. I ask them to go to that tree and make a list of all living things they can find there. It makes them realize how much life is lost if we cut down that one tree. These students then become volunteers who nurture the saplings and protect the site. Nayantra Siriguri, a researcher with Canopy Collective, is mentoring nature educators in Changlangshu. She is seeing if tribal customs can be united with environmental awareness.
We have been working together to build or design a youth engagement model that is a model of involving the youth and the children of the village in the restoration efforts in a way that they may find culturally relevant, involving elements of the local language, local ecology and local culture in the content that is also being used to talk about restoration.
Each night, small groups of people still head out to hunt. But Wan Mai is happy that this tradition is gradually reducing among the younger generation. The seeds of wildlife protection have been planted in Changlangshu.
Past year
I regret my past life for hunting down beautiful birds. Now, when I see the birds, I'm more interested in identifying the species. In the past, animals like pangolins, deer, civets, and wildcats existed in large numbers in these forests. If our restoration efforts succeed, we hope that these wildlife species will return to our forest. And when these animals come, this tribe of once fierce hunters will now stand proudly as their protectors.
From the foothills of Nagaland to the shores of Scotland, one thing is clear. Nature is struggling, and those closest to it are stepping up to fight back. In one of the most scenic corners of the Scottish Highlands, surrounded by mountains and home to golden eagles and peregrine falcons, there exists a small village that has been there for centuries. But the changes that are causing a problem here are fairly recent and have travelled from far away.
Nestled in the Arrochar Alps on Loch Long in the Scottish Highlands sits the village of Arrochar. It could be a haven for nature lovers, if not for one problem: plastic. The shoreline is covered in it.
We have millions and millions of pieces of microplastics. When the tide is out, we get kind of a microplastic sand just at the very head of the loch here, and when the tide comes in, it's more of a microplastic soup.
Plastic waste from around the world washes up here. Jacqueline Willis works for a local environmental group. Together with local residents, she regularly takes samples. The plastic is embedded in the landscape. Mixed with seaweed and algae, it's formed a thick layer, 1 meter deep, hundreds of meters long, along the shoreline.
This is all coming up the loch, it's coming down the river, up from the Irish Sea, it's coming from all over the place. It's carelessly discarded litter, it's ending up where it's not supposed to be.
Loch Long connects to the sea. Waste floats in with seawater and also flows from the nearby city of Glasgow. Hand collection doesn't go far. Heavy equipment is needed, but it's too costly for this small community.
The trouble is that we can't separate the plastic from the seaweed, from the wood, from everything else, so that it's just purely plastic that we're dealing with. It's the whole composite makeup of the material. So suggesting
Arrochar lies at the very tip of Loch Long.
Higher structure.
From simulations that we've had done, it looks like it mostly comes up the east side of the loch.
Yeah,
so it's coming up the east side of the loch towards the surface of the water column, and then it's ending up here, and it's getting trapped up here.
Scotland's biggest city, Glasgow, lies about an hour upstream along the River Clyde. Authorities estimate it's the source of half the waste in Arrochar. The city has hired additional street cleaners and uses a boat to collect the worst of the river debris. Each day, Alan Swift and his colleague head out onto the Clyde. They can fill up to 10 floating containers a day. The cleanup boat also collects larger trash along the riverbanks. Alan says they've seen real progress. The Clyde is getting cleaner.
We're seeing a lot more kingfishers, otters, salmon, sea trout, porpoises, that kind of stuff. So maybe 20 years ago you wouldn't have seen these things.
But smaller plastic fragments slip through, floating down to Loch Long and Arrochar. The local primary school is right on the water. The children know the pollution all too well.
We used to play there and stuff, and now we can't because it stinks, and there's just hundreds of litters.
Sometimes we even take trips down to the loch to see what's actually happening, and if you step in, your foot will go down really far just in litter.
It makes me feel really angry and sad because I live literally right next to the beach, and it just smells horrible, and from my house you can smell it, and it's it looks disgusting.
Loch Long's environmental activists are focusing on education. Jacqueline Willis visits schools, even in Glasgow. She explains to the children why avoiding single-use plastics and packaging matters. Meanwhile, locals have continued talks with Scottish authorities. There's now a glimmer of hope. A new research project is being launched to address the problem.
I get very depressed seeing it, but I also get really angry. It kind of needs government-level solutions. It needs big actions. It needs things like the deposit return scheme. It needs bans on certain single-use plastic items. So it needs big solutions.
Against the Highland backdrop, Arakar's plastic pollution is especially jarring. Nature's beauty has long been part of the region's identity and its livelihood, for now.
There's room for greenery everywhere, even in our cities. Windowsills, balconies, rooftops, vacant lots. We can grow a little bit almost everywhere. And that's sometimes the only way to actually ensure that our vegetables are truly organic. A man is doing all of this and a lot more on his terrace in Chennai. It's a quiet revolution in the middle of the city.
No space is too small for Naveen Kumar to grow vegetables in. He might live in the city, but that doesn't mean he can't enjoy fresh produce.
When I first started, I had just 5 plants. Now there is a little forest on my terrace.
He started greening his terrace 7 years ago. Seen from above, it really stands out in the urban environment, a splash of green amid the roofs of Chennai.
It is a 450 square feet space with 200 varieties of plants.
Naveen is a passionate nature lover. He grows eggplants, limes, figs and edible flowers such as hibiscus and dahlias, all on his small roof. He's also planted several special varieties of tomatoes.
This here isn't just any tomato plant. It is a nearly extinct variety called the Togo tomato. It has a unique sweet and sour taste, and there is no need to refrigerate it. Even if left outside, it stays fresh for a week. This one's called ghee chili. It's quite spicy, a rare exotic variety that most people in Chennai haven't even heard of.
All his plants and seeds are organic, and what he doesn't grow himself, he buys from organic farmers. He also makes his own fertilizers, mostly from fish amino acid and panchakavya.
The use of chemical fertilizers is increasing every day, as farmers rely on them to boost crop yields. But when we consume these foods regularly, we face a high risk of developing serious illnesses like cancer, diabetes, and neurovascular disorders.
The 29-year-old doctor also sells his plants and seeds to friends and others too. Shakti Kumar has run a tree nursery in Chennai for 15 years. Naveen's organic fertilizer helps his plants to thrive. He's also been selling it to his customers for a few years. And that's not all.
For the past 4 to 5 years, we have also been helping people set up terrace gardens. In the beginning, we used to provide them with company-sourced seeds. But once customers began asking for native seed varieties, and since Naveen had a rare collection, we started sourcing seeds from him. It's been going very well ever since.
Naveen Kumar is looking forward to introducing more and more people to terrace gardening.
If we all join hands and embrace organic farming, only then can we ensure a healthier future for the next generation.
The message is clear. Change is happening, and it is being driven by those who actually care enough to act. Don't forget to follow us on our TV channel and our Instagram at DW_environment for more such inspiring stories.
These farmers use fish to fertilize their crops. Fish waste, to be exact. Local fish markets in India produce a lot of it as the fish gets cleared out and cut. At this one, it's about 4 tons per week. Some gets recycled as chicken feed, but producers came up with a new way to use it. In a 1-to-1 ratio, they mix the fish waste with a specific type of sugarcane and let it ferment for more than a month, stirring every 10 days to produce the desired product, fish amino acids.
Since this mixture is rich in microorganisms and vitamins, it is also an excellent organic fertilizer for plants and trees.
After 40 days, the fermented fish waste gets bottled and sold to farmers in the Tamil region. It's cheaper and easier to disperse than other organic fertilizers.
Thank you for joining us. I will see you next week with more such stories. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Namaskar.